You're watching WYLN TV 35. Now, from the area's leader in live local news, this is WYLN News, the area's #1 source of live local news and information in Luzerne, Schuylkill, Carbon, and Columbia counties. WYLN News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on WYLN News. I'm Julia Wiegand. One person was pronounced dead after an early morning apartment complex fire in Wilkes-Barre. Firefighters were called to the Genetti Apartments complex at East Market Street and South Pennsylvania Avenue just before 2 this morning. Police officers evacuated up to 125 people from the 7-story apartment building through narrow stairwells, and 4 were rescued through a 4th-floor window by an aerial ladder truck. Evacuated tenants were placed inside Genetti's 27 ballrooms, while others were transported by school bus to 3 local hotels. The intense inferno was contained to an interior 3rd-floor room. The 1st and 2nd floors were left with heavy water damage, while the upper floors suffered smoke damage. The cause of that blaze remains under investigation. An early morning crash turned fatal Monday in Orangeville. Authorities were called for a report of an accident in the 500 block of Main Street. 23-year-old Katana Harris was in the front passenger seat of a Nissan sedan delivering newspapers, traveling southbound. That's when the car left the roadway and struck a retaining wall, causing the vehicle to sustain significant damage. Harris was pronounced dead at the scene, while the driver was taken to the hospital. The cause of the accident is being investigated by Pennsylvania State Police. A Schuylkill County man is facing charges after causing a disturbance at a Shenandoah convenience store. State police were called to the Turkey Hill on Main Street last Wednesday for a report of a man wearing a trench coat causing a scene. That man was identified as 36-year-old Richard Bates, and he was found to be in possession of a machete. Bates now faces charges of being in possession of a prohibited weapon. A Wilkes-Barre Township woman's accused of endangering the welfare of her 2 young children. According to police, 29-year-old Caitlin Marie Sonia Wegzinovich allegedly left her home on Sunday, pushing a stroller with her children inside to confront a woman she believed was having an affair with the children's father. Temperatures were in the 20s that day, and the children were dressed in thin clothing. She also allegedly smashed a window at the victim's home on Nicholson Street before police arrived. She was charged with endangering the welfare of children, disorderly conduct, criminal mischief, public drunkenness, and resisting arrest. She was taken to Luzerne County Prison, unable to post $75,000 bail. More details have been released regarding Friday afternoon's accident near Danville that led to the euthanization of 3 monkeys. 100 monkeys were being transported from New York to an undisclosed CDC-approved quarantine facility when the crash occurred. The monkeys that escaped following the accident and had to be put down. Since the monkeys can transmit potentially deadly viruses to humans, the CDC, alongside the Pennsylvania Department of Health and state police, decided to humanely euthanize the 3 escaped monkeys. First responders and residents who helped at the scene were advised to seek medical treatment if they experience any adverse effects to their health after coming in contact with the monkeys. The U.S. Department of Agriculture is also investigating the incident after a complaint was filed by people for the ethical treatment of animals. 3 people were recently cited for underage gambling at a local casino. The individuals were cited by the State Police Bureau of Gaming Enforcement on 3 separate occasions for allegedly gambling at Mohegan Sun Pocono. 20-year-old Seth Drake of Lake Ariel, 20-year-old Wei Tang of Wilkes-Barre, and 18-year-old Christian Lee Williams of New York face maximum fines of $1,000 each for the offenses. The Pennsylvania Department of Corrections announced yesterday that all in-person prison visitations will be temporarily suspended. Visitors will not be allowed at any state correctional institution from now through February 28th. Officials say the move will allow facilities to allocate staff more effectively amid a surge in COVID-19 cases throughout the state. DOC Acting Secretary George Little said staffing levels have been significantly impacted by the same uptick in COVID cases that communities are experiencing. When visits resume, Anyone 12 and up will be required to affirm they've been vaccinated during the scheduling process and may be asked to provide proof of vaccination before entering the facility. $8 million in competitive safe school targeted grants were awarded to 303 local education agencies. 4 types of targeted safety grants are being offered through the Pennsylvania Department of Education's Office for Safe Schools. This includes equipment grants of up to $25,000, program grants of up to $20,000, school police officer grants of up to $40,000, and school resource officer grants of up to $60,000. The grants were awarded in an effort to enhance an environment of productivity, safety, and learning. They'll also help with anti-violence efforts between schools and parents, local governments, law enforcement, and community organizations. Funding will be available for environmental restoration projects at abandoned mineland locations across Pennsylvania. $25 million will be going into reclamation projects that touch upon economic development components or community revitalization. The 2020 Abandoned Mineland Economic Revitalization Program will also give another $25 million of U.S. Treasury funds for Pennsylvania's program. Since Congress authorized it under the Consolidated Appropriations Act in 2020, the funds are to be used, quote, to accelerate the remediation of AML sites with economic and community development and uses. Pennsylvania is now in its 5th year of receiving funding from the program. Grant applications are being accepted for recreation and conservation projects across PA. Applications are being accepted through DCNR's Grant Customer Service Portal from now until 4 p.m. on Wednesday, April 6th. For every grant dollar awarded, an additional $3 will go toward local, county, and private investments. This includes the planning, acquisition, and development of public parks, recreation areas, motorized and non-motorized trails, river conservation and access, streamside forest buffers, open space conservation, and regional and statewide partnerships to better develop and manage resources. Pfizer is conducting a study on the original COVID-19 vaccine in comparison to doses that have been modified to fight the Omicron variant. Researchers will study the Omicron-based shots for use as a booster or primary vaccinations and how they enhance the immune system in comparison to the original shots on up to 1,420 healthy adults ages 18 to 55. One group of volunteers who have received 2 doses of the current Pfizer vaccine 3 to 6 months ago would either get 1 or 2 Omicron-based boosters. Another group of volunteers who have already gotten 3 original doses of the Pfizer vaccine will be given a 4th dose of either the same vaccine or the Omicron-based vaccine. The study will also include unvaccinated volunteers who will get 3 doses of the Omicron-based vaccine. Coming up on Wyln News, a possible zoning change from dogs to cats in Tamaqua, plus details on this year's Skook Easter Bunny Tour. But first, we'll take a look at our 5-day forecast brought to you by the Wyln Weather Kits. We'll be right back.
My name is Charlie. I am 8, and the forecast for tomorrow is partly cloudy.
We want your child to be our Wyln Weather Kid. Your child can be our feature weather reporter of the day on Wyln News and Wyln social media posts just by using your smartphone or any video recording device. It's easy. All ages are welcome, from toddlers to teens. To find out how, go to the weather section of WYLNTV.com or look for our post about it on the Wyln News Facebook page. Submit your Weather Kid video today.
You always get a feel-good shopping experience at Grand Central in Hazleton.
Have you ever experienced that super pushy salesperson who follows you all around? Not here.
Or wandered around that big box store looking for help in the appliance department, only to find the pink guy? Not here.
And we have an experienced, courteous sales staff here to help you find the perfect mattress, piece of furniture, or appliance with no pressure.
And don't forget,
Everyday low prices.
You always get a feel-good shopping experience at Grand Central in Hazleton.
Moore & Associates, accountants and advisors located at 751 North Church Street in Hazleton. Contact them for all your individual and business tax and accounting needs.
If you're looking for an affordable pre-owned car or truck, Chura's Auto Sales has a great lineup of clean, dependable, and quality vehicles. Stop in 610 North Broad Street, West Hazleton, 570-454-7229.
WYLN programming is online all the time. Visit our website at WYLNTV.com to check out archive shows and a live stream of our broadcasts. And don't forget to visit all of our social media pages for breaking news, weather, and sports. You can also head directly to our YouTube page for all our programming at youtube.com/WYLNTV35. Subscribe and ring that bell so you get notified every time there's a new show available online.
The former dog house may soon be getting a feline's touch in Tamaqua. The zoning board will be hearing a proposal for a cat kennel that'll go by the name Cole Cat's Cafe at the property formerly known for selling hot dogs and other food items. Ronald Chamberlain of Walnutport is requesting the special permitted use of the property at 209 West Broad Street, which is zoned general commercial. Chamberlain's requesting approval for up to 12 cats, since regulations permit 5 animals in a property. He also plans to work with Hillside SPCA to provide financial support for medical care, as the cats will be fostered and available for adoption. The zoning hearing is scheduled for Tuesday evening at 7 in the Borough Building. Dustin's Adventureland is bringing back the Skook Easter Bunny Tour for the 3rd year in a row. The nonprofit works to eliminate barriers for handicapped or special needs children and wants to build Schuylkill County's first all-inclusive playground in Minersville, specifically designed for these children. The group will be holding the Skook Easter Bunny Tour, where the Easter Bunny will be making his 3rd trip around the Skook. They're currently looking for sponsors that the Easter Bunny will visit for $100 per municipality, which also covers the cost of candy that'll be tossed. Any interested person, group, or organization can contact Jeff at 570-527-6040 or visit Dustin's Adventureland via Facebook. Our Wyln sports crew is already gearing up for its next 2022 high school basketball game. We kick off with some live Cougar Spartans action this Friday, January 28th, when the ball is in Wyoming Valley West's court for the girls' matchup against Hazleton. Get your favorite fill of Marty Burns and our Wyln sports crew, bringing you the event, not just the highlights. No plans Friday night? No problem. Got some? Well, cancel them. Instead, tune in for the 7:30 tip-off and all the live local action right here on Wyln TV. Coming up on Latimer's News Choice, we talk winter pet safety on this Trooper Talk Tuesday. Plus, Leading the Way, Part 2. Stay with us.
When emergency strikes, trust your care to the all-new ER at Lehigh Valley Hospital, Hazleton. With a facility that's now twice the size. Experienced nurses who see you right away. A quick assessment process makes sure you get the care you need. Advanced technology on site. Safe, private treatment rooms, and a peace of mind that only this level of care can bring. When it matters most, trust your partner in emergency care. Lehigh Valley Hospital, Hazleton.
PPW Nation, get ready for the best of PPW Season 2. Join Paul Bowe, E. Julius Kuiper, Alexander Bravado, Tom Mitchell, and Alex Watt as we take you down memory lane and relive some of the best PPW matches of all time. Saturdays at 5 p.m., Sundays at 10 p.m., only on WYLN.
Did you know that WYLN News provides news updates every weekday afternoon
At 1, 3, and 5 here on TV and on social media?
Did you also know you can watch WYLN News on the go by visiting our website or YouTube page?
Now more than ever,
WYLN is your local news leader.
SJ Kowalski is your Mitsubishi Diamond contractor. They can install a Mitsubishi electric Mr. Slim ductless heating and cooling system. Mr. Slim systems are designed to make any living space in your home inviting. You can have a different temperature control for every room in your home. The money-saving technology can save you 25 to 50% on your heating bill. For Mitsubishi, Renai, and trained comfort specialists, call SJ Kowalski at 570-455-2600. Do you like craft beer? Do you want to learn the right way to sample wine? How about checking out a restaurant with a unique flavor or a crazy food challenge? These are just some of the things we are featuring on Wine, Hops, and Road Stops. So, spend some time learning about great wine, great beer, and great food on WYLN TV 35.
Welcome to Trooper Talk Tuesday. I'm Paula Degnan. With me is Pennsylvania State Police Trooper Anthony Petrosky. And today we're going to talk about pets. Do you have any pets?
Yeah, I do.
Do you? What do you have?
I have a dog.
Do you? What kind?
It's a small little dog. She's great with the kids. She doesn't like snow.
What's her name?
Liberty.
Liberty.
Yes.
Liberty, if you're watching, look who's here. Well, I too. I have two pets. I have Mia, the dog, and I have Pookie Scammer, the cat.
That's an interesting name.
Yes, there's a story behind that, but
that's
we
a whole
don't have
separate
enough.
segment.
We don't have enough time right now. So in the wintertime, you see now, my cat Pookie actually likes snow. She'll go out and she'll walk around the deck, but I bring her in.
Okay.
What do you do with these folks who leave their pets out in the winter?
Yeah.
Besides making snappy faces at them?
It's one of those tough situations because maybe that pet is used to the cold weather and the pet owners like to leave the pet out, but one of the neighbors or somebody driving by might see that as cruelty to animals with the dog or cat or whatever animal might be being outside in the weather. So it's one of those tough situations, but really, the pet owner has to decide what's best for that animal. They really do. And in frigid temperatures, single digits, snow and ice, these pets should not be outside. At the very least, somebody who sees it is going to call us. And then we're going to have to show up, we're going to have to investigate. And, Pennsylvania State Police, we have an animal cruelty officer within every troop, and then one full-time member that works at department headquarters. So they can ultimately decide if charges would be filed against the pet owner if the pet was left out in ice or extreme frigid temperatures, and then we will consult with the district attorney to see if charges would be approved.
So what can a pet owner do? Let's say you have a husky. They love being out in the outdoors in the cold. So what would as a responsible pet owner, what would you do?
That's a good word, responsible. So if your dog likes being out in the cold, you have to be able to provide some sort of shelter for the animal, some sort of dog house with some bedding in it, and they have to be able to have food and water. The problem with that is you put water outside, it's going to freeze. So as a responsible pet owner, you have to be able to get that animal water or bring them in the house so they could get water, because they have to be properly taken care of, and food and water is part of it. But they also have to have in a way they can be away from the ailments, meaning away from the snow and ice. So they have to have some sort of coop or dog house that they could go in and get out of the cold.
It must be very difficult for you and anybody who, and kudos go out to all the humane officers who have to deal with this on a regular basis. But it must be very difficult when you have to go into a homeowner and say, what are you doing?
It's a difficult situation, and a lot of times they'll explain, well, my dog likes the cold. why are you even here? And then we have to explain, well, somebody called because it's so cold and they see the animal outside. So, it's all about communication. It's how we interact with the public. But it's definitely, there's a lot of gray areas, and we have to refer it a lot to, animal cruelty officers for guidance on these sorts of situations. But we look into everything, we investigate everything, and we care about the pets that are out there.
Well, I'm sure that Liberty is very excited knowing that you're here speaking out for pets and for animals.
She's probably asleep.
And the same thing with cats. And I know there's a lot of people who will say that there are so many cats out in the area who are feral and don't have homes. But there are things that people can do for those cats as well.
Yeah.
They can make a makeshift box.
Absolutely.
They can do things like that. So we have to watch out for them.
Absolutely. And if you see an animal that might not being taken care of properly, call the authorities.
Good idea.
Absolutely.
So for Liberty, for Mia, for Pookie Scammer, and for all your furry friends out there, we want to thank Trooper Petrosky for joining us today, and we will have more on Trooper Talk Tuesday on WYLN.
You always get a feel-good shopping experience at Grand Central in Hazleton.
Have you ever experienced that super pushy salesperson who follows you all around? Not here.
Or wandered around that big box store looking for help in the appliance department, only to find the pink guy? Not here.
And we have an experienced, courteous sales staff here to help you find the perfect mattress, piece of furniture, or appliance with no pressure.
And don't forget, everyday low prices.
You always get a feel-good shopping experience at Grand Central in Hazleton.
There's no better place to shoot than Whitetail Preserve. Their skeet, trap, and sporting clay fields are professionally designed, and all stations are handicap accessible. Whitetail Preserve has resident shooting instructors certified by the NRA in shotgun, rifle, pistol, home safety, and personal protection in the home. Whitetail can also cater any size event, whether it be a private party, corporate event, or wedding. Call 570-384-2314 for more information.
We all need a midweek pick-me-up, and WYLN TV 35 is your home for good news on Wednesdays. All our good news stories will be printed in the WYLN TV Pennies Classified Good News Bulletin, distributed throughout the community and digitally posted on WYLN News Facebook page and on our website. If you have good news to share, contact us to be featured in our special Good News edition. Good events, good people, good jobs, all good news.
Penn State Hazleton is improving the lives of others, starting in our community.
Providing degrees that meet the needs of the area.
Fueling entrepreneurship and contributing more than $36 million annually to the state's economy.
Researching the health of our local ecosystem on the Susquehanna River.
Together, our impact keeps growing, backed by the strength of 24 campuses and 700,000 alumni.
WYLN CA35's children's programming is designed with the specific purpose of serving the educational and informational needs of children. In compliance with FCC guidelines, a copy of the Children's Programming Report is on file for public inspection at WYLN 1057 East 10th Street in Hazleton, Pennsylvania during normal business hours. To view the report online, visit fcc.org.
WYLN's going behind the scenes to learn more about the lives and goals of our local leaders. So, Chris Barrett's leading the way into part 2 of this week's series.
And welcome back to this week's Leading the Way with Chris Barrett. Chris, what are some of the positions you held earlier in your career before Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau?
I was incredibly fortunate that after I graduated from Penn State, I had a 2- and 4-year degree and then went to graduate school. I began to work for Hershey Entertainment and Resorts Company in Hershey. And it was one of the best experiences of my life to work for that company. Mr. Hershey had a great story. He worked incredibly hard to build his company and his fortune to where it really is today. And he really believed in hard work. And when I grew up, that was one of the things that my grandmother instilled in me and all of my mentors. You have to work hard to be able to get somewhere. And Hershey was one of those companies that really rewarded you for hard work. And I spent about 20 years there. And it was just a very, very fulfilling time in management positions with Hershey Park Arena and Stadium, and the Giant Center, which just recently opened. Then we bought an amusement park in Lancaster called Dutch Wonderland, which they have since sold. So I was in high-level management and operations positions there, and also in sales and marketing. So that company gave me a great foundation. And from Hershey, I went to a similar job to what I have now in Lancaster County, and then I owned my own advertising agency for 5 years, and I had interviewed for this job that I have now 15 years ago, and about 15 years ago now, and then the job became open after the person in it retired. Was between him and I 15 years ago, and then I got that job now, so I was able to move back home, kind of sort of say, because it's so close to Hazleton, and help the Poconos kind of get back to a resurgence of where it is right now.
So what was your interest in getting into the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau? Was there something, that enticed you or you were interested in?
I think it was just the opportunity to really rebuild the Pocono Mountains brand. It had a really it had many, many decades of notoriety in the honeymoon generation right after World War II. And in the 70s and 80s began to decline. A lot of the larger properties started to become disrepaired, and they weren't investing back in the properties. And then Great Wolf Lodge moved back into the region in 2005 and built a major indoor water park. And from there, the destination has just really, really been progressing geometrically and growing geometrically. So when I came in 2017, we were starting that upward trend, and it was just great to be close to a product where there was a lot of innovation, a lot of growth, and really there's a resurgence. People are discovering and rediscovering the Pocono Mountains, so it's great. It's also great for the adjacent economies like here in Luzerne and Lackawanna County. It's just awesome that so many people are coming back to the region and visiting again.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you guys have worked with us, over the last few years, and I have to say, you and your team are really professional to work with. You guys are always on top of your game, and you do a wonderful job with what you're doing.
That's kind. It's interesting you say that, Tracy. We love working with you guys too. This is like my hometown station, which I love so much. But you have to have good partners, and you have to have a great team. You can't do anything yourself, and I'm very blessed that I have an incredible team, and I have incredible partners like you folks to be able to get the message of the Pocono Mountains out there.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. You're kind.
Check back tomorrow night as Chris continues leading the way into part 3 of this week's segment. Good night.
And that's the news. Remember, the source matters now more than ever. Catch all the latest on our Facebook page, YouTube page, or at WYLNTV.com. Stay with us. A look at today's weather is next, right here on WYLN TV.